So most of the things that we have already talked about, and then what we did not talk about is what we ended up this discussion with is the standardization and IoT, M2M communication and standards is what I'm going to talk about. Also, I mean, we are at the point, in 2019, you see this curve. Only thing I want you to record and notice is the linear growth is getting converted from 2019 into exponential growth of the IoT devices. And it means what? The era of linearity is going to give way to era of exponential growth in this sector. The applications have been talked about, smart city, industrial IoT, and these are all global distribution which is there, but also connected cars, not the autonomous cars. So that's why the India-specific challenges are different than the global challenges. Here we require smart cities, we require more education, healthcare, all those things that have been already listed by Mr. Pathak. That is the challenge, and that's why we want 5G, that's why we want IoT. So what are the issues which, if we don't do things carefully, will arise, or the security. So authentication, communication, security, we need to know everybody, right? Transparency is not only for government records, but also for the IT systems. They have to be auditable, they have to be, data integrity, data privacy, the devices are right or not is required. Also, interoperability cannot be overemphasized, right? Your devices need to be also interoperable. So something that works in India should also work everywhere else, or something that works outside should work here. Then no sharing of data is a bigger problem. Data is a power. Now it has become diesel and oil and electricity. I think what all names have been given to this data. But the reality is that nobody wants to share data. They share only out of some gains. Consequently, no sharing of data for a smart city kind of application is going to be a major problem. We need to know who owns the device. Even if you keep a dog in your house, I mean, you have to identify that it is who owns this. So KYC and device ownership is very important. Addressability, we should be able to address a particular device in a standard way. And the long battery and power supply and all of those things are already understood. So what is the solution? We have been having, energy, security, all those kind of things which were working in isolation, because the world is not learned the benefit of automation today. Only thing is that it is coming from enterprise to now public domain. So your cities are getting automated. Earlier on, your industrial processes are getting automated. That's why you require standardization and interoperability. So what is the answer for a standard? It's not, see, the open platforms are required. But also, more importantly, you require a standard platform. And that's why ATIS, which are like Japan, America, China, Europe, ATSI, also Indian standard body, TSDSI, also Korean standard body, TTA, they all came together, and also the TTC of Japan, they came together, and then they made one standard in the world. It is called 1M2M. Also, we are also a partner to Type 1 to 1M2M. We built the first platform. We means CDOT, built the first platform. Apart from all the award-winning Wi-Fi and telecommunications and all of that, we actually did bit of a migration from equipment to the platform, considering that it is very important. So that's why you require standard protocols like HTTPS, SCOPE, MQTT, WebSocket, and you require common services function to be put in the platform. So the standard also defines where you have to keep in the things and how you have to interface them in a standard way. Whether they are on cloud, whether they are device sensors, whatever it is, has been already done. Registration of the device, security, group management. I mean, these are all common services function which have been pooled together so that every application doesn't replicate them. And consequently, all managing the communications, managing the devices, managing the services and charging, Mr. Matthews, charging is part of the standard. So you don't have to devise another method. And charging data and record like CDRs, it's all part of the standard. Network service exposure, so choosing the optimal network and application, all of that is also part of it. Another important thing that I wanted to bring about is that the standard body is also working on connecting different cities together. So platform to platform connectivity is also part of the standard. All devices also need to be part of this whole ecology. And it is not hard at all. I can tell you, this might sound like very, very complicated standard, but it is one of the simplest things that you will come across once we get used to it. Why it is required? Because if you build something, especially the startups here, I think you need to learn that regulation is number one problem that you will face if you don't understand that. That's why I try to provide who are the players like device, you have 1M2M, non-1M2M devices, you have service providers, I talked about applications. Then the policymakers, what they want know your device, know your customer, KYC kind of a thing. The regulation need to be followed. The licensing terms on different people need to be also followed by the providers. Also privacy issues have been talked about, you know. You can't share the data without somebody's permission. Then security is a major issue. And consequently, the devices have to comply with those policies, the applications have to comply with those policies, service providers have to comply with that policy. And then you have a governing body within the jurisdiction. Those governing bodies have to provide all these, guidelines to these players. And finally, law enforcement and security, it becomes very, very important. Because law enforcement need to do their job. Now, how will they do the job if they don't know who created because the implications are changing now. They are like somebody can use the platform to blast a bomb without being present there, simply by programming a machine. Consequently, you require a standard-based platform. And so, I have the benefit slide of having the standard-based thing. But what I'll do, I'll present a slide. If a standard is not there, what will happen? Interoperability will not be there, duplicacy of the investment, and also the applications will not work seamlessly. Security is a major, major problem. The mankind's life will be in danger if we do not implement things properly. Benefit to the local entrepreneur will not occur because you will borrow some application, put it there, try to make it work. But what about the local guys? If they want to build devices here in India, now how do you do that? If it is standard, you can build one small piece, you can connect it. Then regulations. Whatever you do, eventually one day, if it is not compliant with the law of the land, it won't work. Monetization will not happen. There's no way you can make money using IoT unless you follow the standard. You will keep on reinventing small wheels each time. And then licensing, low-touch licensing will become no-touch licensing. Okay? We are very fond that government should not do anything, but eventually these are our needs which need to be fulfilled. So earlier if we know, then it is better. And there should not be any burden on operators to really comply. It should be transparency is very, very important in terms of putting the public infrastructure because you are accountable to the public. That's why it is very important for us to follow one M2M standard or a standard which is global standard. We also need to invite people who are having similar experience outside to come and collaborate with us. Nobody can do it all. It's 1 trillion market in India. Can anybody do it all alone? No. It requires a collaboration, coming together, having the, all of that is very, very important. I want to thank you and want to give a big hand to my panelists who talked so well and covered all the things.